and welcome to my studio. If this is your first visit, my name is Fetterman and I'm an artist in Northern Virginia. And if it weren't for COVID-19, I'd be at my local nursing home or assisted living right now, bringing the joy of painting to seniors in my local community. I thought that at the end of each video, I would include a little tribute in honor of some of those artists that I've had the pleasure and privilege of painting with. They've certainly taught me a lot, and I'm sure they will inspire you. Whether you watch it or you paint along, I hope you will enjoy your time with me today. Without further ado, let's head to the beach. All right, it's time to paint those beautiful flowers at the beach. Now you have nothing to worry about. I'll be guiding you step by step. I'll show you what colors to use, what brushes to use, how to hold them, how to put in some beautiful details, all using simple strokes. If you'll be painting along with me, the supply list is located in the description of the video. I also tried really hard to use supplies that would be easily available at Walmart or a Dollar Tree store. Now I can already hear some of you saying, "I can't paint that." Trust me, I know you can. Watch and see how easy it is. And then at the end of this video, be inspired by those who have had the willingness and courage to try. Okay, are you done? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and make a painting similar to this one. This is painted with these brushes and painting instruments. Of course, you may have other ones at home that would work just fine also. And if I were to make this painting again, I could use a completely different set of tools. But I just thought I'd show you how I would make this painting using what I have right here. This is the paper that I'm using. It's by Canson XL oil and acrylic paper. I've cut it down to an 8.5 by 11 size. I have a piece of tack that holds my paper down. You could also use just tape. And I have this on a board. It's a canvas board that I've painted, and there you go. So I'm gonna get started. I want to show you here. I have this quarter here just so you see the approximate amount of paint I'm using. And I'll use a paper plate today. I put a black circle so I can better see and you can better see where my white is. And I'm going to go ahead and start off with some of that light blue. And we're going to come down about 3/4, okay, with our sky. And that sky's going to go from a darker blue to a white or a light blue towards the horizon. If you don't have yours like that, that's fine too. We'll start with the sky, and then we'll put the water in, then into our sand. Finally, we end with the flowers and then the birds. So I wet my brush first, tap my paper towel, starting at the top. You can use whatever strokes you want. Doesn't really matter. We're going to be finessing it now with the white. The important thing for me is I just want to see that I can get lighter as I go down the paper. So by adding more white, I get it lighter. Depending on what surface you're using, you may need to use a lot of paint or a little paint. All right. Okay, so now we're going to take some of the medium blue or bright blue, and not very much, the smallest amount that you can put out. And I happen to like to use a little bit of a darker blue also, just the smallest amount. There's no need to wash out your brush. You can just stay with what you had in it. And I'm just going to take a little bit of those two colors that I've put on my plate. And as you can see from the demo, I'm going to come down about 3/4 and just go all the way across. And we're just going to do about an inch or so. You can always add more water if it feels too dry. Alright, I'm gonna put that in the parking lot. I got a little bit too much blue here. I'm gonna wipe that off. I'm in with a paper towel and wipe that out. If you get too much paint on, you can just wipe it out just like I did. All right, let's go ahead and get some more white. I'm gonna take some white and I'm gonna come down here, and I'm holding it kind of straight up. You can see how I'm getting those. And I'm just gonna, this is where the shore is. It's right there. See that? That's pretty good right there. And then as it goes back, it could have maybe just a little bit of waves back there. Just the slightest amount of white. There we go. I think that's pretty good. And then let's get into our brown. I probably took too much there. Just need a little bit. A little bit of brown down here. Now I could also be using this brush if I cleaned it out. Could do that too. They're both working pretty well. All right. So So there's our beach. There's our beach. And now I want to have that sand dune that comes up higher than the water. So let's go ahead and get some of that brown. We're going to come up here higher than the water and then just pull it right down, just like that. You may see through this. If you do, just add a little white and it makes it more opaque. And if you have any variation of colors in there, that is perfectly fine. We're actually not going to see much of what's there. All right, I think that's pretty good. Then let's put that in the parking lot, and we're going to come over to our chip brush. And I like to give a little variety in the sand, and so I'm going to give myself a little bit more of that brown. And I'm just going to bounce in a little bit. Just a little. It doesn't have to be all over. Just a little bit. Now I want to get that brown out of my brush. You could wash it if you want, or just rub it on a paper towel. The key thing is this should not be drippy. So just have a nice, and it can be nice and open. You know, pulling it apart is actually good for what we're doing. So just pulling on that, spreading out those bristles. Okay, now we want to get the green grasses in there. So those green grasses, what I'd like to do, now everybody has different colors. Now, typically I use a very dark green called a hunter green, and I also typically would use a yellow green, a bright yellow green, these two colors together. And they go by different names on different brands. But if you don't have that, maybe you have a spring green, you know, maybe your light green is this color. Well, in that case, you need to add yellow. So I decided, okay, we could use these two greens, or if you don't have a yellow green, just add some yellow instead. These two paints together would do a good job. Alrighty, so let's go ahead, and I'm going to come back to my plate. I'm going to make a line of yellow green, which is my G1, and then a line of G3. By the way, I started doing that for my dad, who's colorblind. It was a way for him to know what color to pull out. All right, so I tap now into the two greens, and I want them to just kind of mix on my brush. Just to get both colors in my brush. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to start here and I just pull up. And I'm going to be really gentle. Now you might want to practice this on some paper, just plain white copy paper, just to get the sense of how hard to press down. But I'm going to start here and I'm just going to go like that. You know, and you can have some real long ones too. I just dab my brush, loading it. Oh, that's really pretty. It's different heights. I'm already running out of my dark green. My goodness. What's that dark green? All right. Bouncing those two colors in my brush. And, you know, I tend to not want to put grass all over those greeneries. See how I leave a space a little bit here, a little bit there of the browns. But you can do whatever you would like. If you want to fill that, feel free to fill that in. I think I'm just gonna give myself a little bit of variety in there. Sometimes I just kind of bounce it. And sometimes I pull it or drag it. Let's get a bigger one up there. Ooh. Yep. And that's okay. That's okay. All right. I think that's probably enough. Now what I want to do is come back to this picture. I'm going to give a semblance of some stems. I'm going to use the end of this. Okay, and I'm just going to go right through that wet paint. Okay, depending on your surface, that might show up white. Now on mine it showed up the color that was underneath. That's perfectly fine. All right, I'm kind of done with this right now. I don't want it to dry on here, so I'll just put it in the water and then stick it in the parking lot. So now we're at my favorite part. So this is a very inexpensive brush I bought at Walmart. I think it's 30 brushes for $1.20 something. And I had this, and I had these other very cheap Crayola type brushes, or brushes that come in a value pack. And I thought, how can I use these? And I came up with a way that it is so much fun. What I do is I take this brush, put a little tape on it, and to make it a little easier to hold, I have a curling rod that I got at the Dollar Tree store that I just put on top of that. And then I take this brush, and to separate out the bristles, what I do is I push really, really hard, and I kind of go back and forth, and I press around and around. It's hard to do in the air. I also don't want to ruin the painting. Okay, I should probably come over here. Anyways, I'm pushing really hard on that plastic center, and see how that turned it into like a sparkler. I call this my Joy Sparkler brush. And to make it, like I said, easier to hold, I have it in this holder. And what I'll do now is load this up with orange and white. When I do anything with flowers, or anything in particular, I never use just one color. It's a color plus white, or two different colors. It just makes things more interesting when you have variety in here, a variety of values. Value is the lightness or darkness of a color. So we have a darker orange, medium orange, lighter oranges, whites happening in there. So let's go ahead and do that. This is so much fun, and it's so easy. Now my little plate here, I'm kind of running out of room. Let's see if I can still squeeze in a little bit of that orange. Now you don't have to do orange flowers. If you want to do pink or some other color, feel free to do that, okay? So first thing I'm going to do, I have that brush nice and open. I want to make sure I get lots of paint, okay? But I don't really want it to be drippy. Okay, so there we go. Then I come into the white. So that has both white and orange in it. And I'm going to hold that flat. I'm going to push down. So not straight down, but sideways, like you're writing. And I push down and I lift up. Down and up. And then I flip it. And then I come back. I don't always, I want to make sure my brush stays open, so I'm just pushing it down again. There we go. I want to make sure that it's wispy. Good. There we go. I want them to be different heights. You know what? Yellow would be pretty to stick in there too, wouldn't it? Or orange. Ooh, let's use a little red. I don't know, I just feel like a little red. Alright. I want to make sure that brush opens up, so I'm just going to push down and make sure it is a sparkler again. Okay, touch my white. Let's see what it gives me. I never quite know. There. Ooh, that's pretty. I like that. All right. Don't forget my white. How about over here? I can even tap it a couple times. So, you know, flowers in nature, right? They're gonna overlap. They're not always gonna be the same shape. That's what I like about this brush is it doesn't like behave. It does its own thing. And that's why it makes it look like really nice. I don't know if I... Okay. Maybe something down there. About something that has more white. Alright. Don't want to overdo it. I have a tendency to overdo it. Alright. So how does that look? About something coming out there. Yep. Now if you want some longer stems, you can always put paint on the end of this. And just kind of push it down. Or start here and... Whoops, that doesn't work, does it? There we go. Give a little look of something that could be a stem there. Alright. I like to use a mechanical pencil. So this is a lot easier to hold than some of the other smaller instruments that would also work like a toothpick. But what you have to do now is you have to get some black, some brown, and then add some water. You could spray it with water, which is what I'm gonna do. But you want that to be like ink, okay? You want it to be like ink. And my pencil, the graphite part, is not showing. That's fully inside of the mechanical pencil. So I'm just using the plastic of the actual pencil. And I just want I don't want a glob, which I just had. I just want it to be with that inky substance. And what I'll do is it's just like a V. I start at the bottom of the V, I go up, and then I go to the left. That's how I do the birds. So it starts at the bottom of the V. Notice how it only allows me to make one bird, and then you have to reload your liquidy paint. Bottom of the V, go to the right. Bottom of the V, go to the left. So it'll automatically give you variety. It doesn't just look like a V, because that would be boring. All right, so let's go ahead and put a couple birds. Bottom of the up, and there goes one. And let's do another one. One over here. There we go. You can even have a little thing come off of his. So I just got this idea. What if we did a little center on these? Just take a little dark blue and, I don't know. It's already on my plate, my dark blue. You could use purple, you could choose whatever color. Ooh, I like that because that makes that pop a little bit more. Just gives me a little something more interesting, another value in there. I'm not going to do them all. I'm just going to do a little bit. Where do I want some more? How about over here? What I like about using this mechanical pencil is you don't get too much paint. Okay, maybe just a tiny bit more. Where? How about here? There we go. I'm kind of noticing it could use a little bit of dark. Well, this dark green. I just love seeing how it all comes together, don't you? I hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to seeing you again next time. Until then, keep painting.